Hello again, Andrew back. Just to another one in the ongoing series on things that we can do better in a democracy. Now, one of the big issues that we're facing today is corruption of our political system. At every level, we as a nation have never been more corrupt. We have corruption starting at the very top in our Houses of Parliament and our large corporations, and that shadow is cast over everything and everyone underneath. We're the nation of the cashy, which is corruption. It's as simple as that. You're avoiding paying tax. I do it. Everyone does it because, let's face it, sometimes it's good to have some spending money in your pocket. But the reality is that this acceptance by all of us magnifies the further up we go in the feeding chain. If you look at our current political system, in the federal system, corporations can walk in and effectively buy influence. They call it buying access, but we all know that's a euphemism for buying influence. Australian political parties have no real disclosure rules as to who pays for what, other than above, I think it's a single donation of $14,000. And that disclosure doesn't come until at least 12 months after the donation has been made. We've seen that Australian politics is increasingly being run through the people who provide access, the advisors, the political lobbyists, the large service corporations that write policy, give advice, do just about everything that government once did, but now is increasingly being run and outsourced. So we're stuck in a situation where we're paying huge amounts of money for what we once considered to be public services, done by public servants who you kind of figured worked in the best interest of the public, now being delivered by large for-profit corporations working in concert with the many other corporations they work with to both lobby and design legislation, all at our expense. The great trick of the old monarchs and dictators was not to disappear, but to reshape themselves. They have become our governments. There was once a time when the strongmen of politics would have to amass vast fortunes to go on campaigns to conquer other territory. Now they have state-funded funds to do this. They have armies and police forces to enforce their will. All of this we can bypass quite effectively if we were to become a democracy. Most people say, Andrew, but the issue is mob mentality. So I'm part of the mob, you're part of the mob, your mum's part of the mob, your dad's part of the mob, your daughter's part of the mob, your son's part of the mob, your cousin, your aunt, your uncle, everyone you know is part of the mob. It's a rather disdainful comment. It's a criticism against all of us and not being able to have a rational discussion and make a decision. But Andrew, what about propaganda? What about all those big corporations as they are now buying huge amounts of time and personalities to sell their line, to persuade us to vote for them in this new democracy? It's their money, right? So what? If we have a democracy where everything is open and disclosed, because ultimately that's what we would have if we had a democracy, because we'd all be talking about it, we wouldn't have political parties squashing free speech or beating our national broadcaster into submission through funding cuts. We'd have an open and honest media. So they buy your vote. They tell you lies. It gets passed through. The decision they wanted to pervert the course of history in their favour becomes that way. And we see it becomes that way. Every action has a consequence. So here we are. What are we doing? So yes, they bought the decision they wanted through massive advertising, massive influence. We see the result. and we understand that there has been a perversion, that we have been conned. So what do? In a democracy, the issue comes up again. I'm hoping that once bitten, twice shy, but I also understand that I've made the same mistake several times. Third time, no, far less likely to. But that's the way of humanity. We like to trust that those putting an argument to us can be trusted. But time tells. It shows that some people can't be, some corporations can't be, that we need to be wary. And if we have that open media and we have that pool of infomarians who are busy giving us information, the best information that they can get to at the time, who are not afraid to admit a mistake, but to put up amendments and corrections. There's no retractions. It's just simply, oops, we made a mistake. We probably went a little bit early. Here's the updated information that you should know. Then we're going to have far more truth. There'll be less room for people to hide and deceive as we have today in this fake news economy of false politics. The only thing this serves is the greater drama of our political, what is it? It's bad theatre. It's just a really shoddy, expensive entertainment that's based on the most base of motivations. It's all about name calling and personal insult and grubby things. So let's move on. Let's have a discussion about the issues. Let's have a vote. Let's engage with our democracy. It's your choice every time on any issue. And if we have one consistent piece of policy anchoring in our Constitution, the right to choose anytime and every time, then there's no such thing as a bad mistake. There's just a different choice we can make next time. Thanks for your ears. Thanks for your eyes. See ya.